want answers.
I want the truth.
So, hello and welcome everybody to the Real Lies podcast. I am, of course, your host, Georgina Grace, and today we have the incredible Angie Sudduth Walsh. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Great, awesome. And Angie is a Life Path 25/7. And this is so exciting because we actually haven't had a 25/7 before. So I love when we get new Life Path numbers to introduce to the whole world to understand it, and of course to you. So the 25/7 Life Path is a very divine Life Path number because it starts with this 2 energy. And the 2s, as you learnt last night, these energies are all about love. They exist for love, to transmute that which is not love into love. So everything for Angie in her life is about love and getting back to the basics, aka love. Now, it is through the heart space that Angie, your life is actually about leading the way towards freedom for yourself, for people, but it's through the heart space. So freeing people's hearts of the burdens, of the heaviness, of the trauma, of the all of the different things. It's really through the heart space that you do that, and through the connection to that. Those 2 lead us to the 7 energy, and your 7 energy, well, there are, if you look into all of the different places, spiritual places and different places, there's a lot of 7. So we have 7 chakras, the 7 sisters, and there are many, many, many examples where the number 7 shows up in a lot of different modalities and stories, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the 7s, these energies are incredible. I like to refer to them at times as the gateway numbers. And what I mean by that is these energies are constantly moving between worlds, and they kind of gather the intel from all the different worlds that they move between. And their intention is to advance humanity technologically. And I don't necessarily mean iPhones and blah, blah, blah. I mean, in the way we think about things and our potential and what's possible for us and different ways of going about things and like that. So these energies are incredibly intelligent, superseding intelligence that exists here on Earth. As I said, it is like intergalactic, multi-dimensional, multi-world, planetary intelligence that you bring here. A lot of it, is pre-existing intelligence, the stuff that you don't know how and then you go about looking for, creating, inventing, finding the evidence to back up what you know, so that you can then use that information to free people's hearts, essentially. So Angie is an incredible, incredible soul, and I'm so bloody thrilled to have her on the podcast. We've finally got here, and I have a feeling that this is not the first and only time that we will be together on the show or on your podcast, vice versa. I just love this human part, questionable, but this incredible soul. So thank you so much for being here, Angie. And I hope that little reading made sense for you.
Yeah, it does. Like when you started saying about, technologies and stuff, like I am electronically challenged all around. So I was thinking, no, wait a minute. But then when you start, there's things that I know and I can't explain how I know it. But yeah.
Yeah.
And I lead from the heart. Like actually, I've always seen hearts my whole life. But like whenever I'm going through something really, really hard, I will see hearts like, out in nature, or I'll find a heart-shaped potato chip, or, it's just something like it's a heart. Wherever I look is a heart. And I just feel like it's a motivation, telling me to keep going. I am loved and it's all going to be okay. So,
And it's also for me, given the two is the first number of your life path number, it's also a reminder of what you're actually here for.
yeah, yeah. And
So
I do,
incredible.
like when I do coaching with people, because I do soul coaching, and what always bothers me is when I see people saying you have to heal your body, mind, and soul, or body, mind, and spirit. Your heart is in there too. Your heart has to be healed as well because we build up a heart wall. We have to release those emotions. So like I incorporate that into my coaching because it's important to heal the heart too.
Oh my gosh, it's a huge, like, there's so many things that you said that I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to know more about. But I also need to just say this that the heart space and the heart itself is like such a critical aspect of our soul, higher soul, spirit connection. You know, and you might have a different opinion on this, but I really believe that it's actually through our heart space that we do then connect to our higher. We can't necessarily intellectually connect to spirit. Do you know? It's not necessarily a brain thing. So I feel strongly that it's like this heart space that is the the place of connection for a lot of people. What do you think of that? Do you feel
I do think that is correct, but I also know that when you're doing the inner work and the inner healing, you do have to heal your mind as well. Like you have to learn how to make your mind black as night. You have to learn how to, and when you get out of your head and you start healing within, your heart and mind will come into alignment. And how
mm,
you know that's happening is when you can say, I think and I feel, and it means the same thing
mm.
to you. So, and you start out saying, I feel, so you can get in connection with yourself. And then you get out of saying, I think, I think, I think. So you get into feeling. And then when your heart and mind start coming into alignment, then thinking and feeling mean the same.
Oh my gosh. And this is exactly what I'm talking about when I say technologically here to advance humanity. That is
Right.
exactly what I'm here, what I mean. Exactly. And I just love how beautifully articulate you are in that. Like it really makes it so clear. Like that is a lot of the times you can have people who um they can be quite challenged in, particularly these seven energies. Sevens can be very challenged at times in articulating, communicating what they truly mean. They really go through life feeling very, just perpetually misunderstood by the whole world. So you know what I mean? So articulating what they truly mean and feel and all of the things can be quite challenging, but you just absolutely nail it and it makes me so happy. I want to know about this soul coaching thing because you just kind of, like just, whatever, that's the thing that I do. Yes, I'm a soul coach and I soul coach and just like, like it's a normal everyday thing. And I'm like, hang on, hold the freaking phone. Soul coaching? Tell me about this.
Well, like I never fit into like life coach or, whatever. And I'm like, what do I do? Well, I'm helping a person heal their soul. Like you get down to your soul, what I call your soul roots. You talk about you don't have a fun name for homework. When I have homework for my clients, I call it soul goals. I can't say it, but it's because it's all soul work and it's the hardest, dirtiest work you will ever do for yourself, but it is also the most rewarding.
Mm.
So there's, so when I can go back to how I started all this.
Please.
Um,
I want to know
so
everything.
16 years, I was sick, but I didn't know what was wrong with me. No one could ever find a diagnosis. They would say fibromyalgia, they'd say lupus, but it wasn't those things. So finally, in December 2013, I was diagnosed with late stage neurological Lyme disease and co infections. And I was very, very sick at the time. So I went through a bunch of stuff where I had to come down and live with my parents. And I thought I'd be here for 6 months, and it's been 10 years. And so it's just been very challenging. But during that time, 2015, I call my year of death because I had several near-death experiences. I had one really big one in January, February of 2015. And that year, when I had a PICC line to give me medicine intravenously, PICC line got infected, and I spent a week in the hospital. And this was like Thanksgiving of 2015. So when I was in the hospital, I was praying and I was asking God, I'm like, what else can I do to get better? There has to be something else that I'm not doing. I'm concentrating on the physical. There has to be more. So I was, you want to call it download or whatever, I was given this exercise to do, and I was told to release all of the toxic, negative emotions I was feeling. So I released guilt and shame and anger and fear, and I was left feeling very empty.
Mm.
And I was shown a way to release these emotions so that, and this is how I teach it, is I have people put their hand over their center and go in a clockwise motion. And you're just winding up and you're saying, I'm releasing all anger. I'm releasing all anger from my body, mind, heart, and soul in peace, love, and light. 'Cause you got to make sure you transmute it. You have to transmute
Mm.
that energy.
Mm-hmm.
So when it gets really tight, then you throw your arm out and you just keep breathing in and out. And your arm will slowly start to relax and come down. That's how you know you've released that. Now, you have to release the emotion 3 times a day, and then you have a refill side. I didn't know about the refill side at the time. So when I did this exercise, I was left feeling very empty. And I think that's why I was shown the exercise this way. So I prayed again and said, there has to be something else that goes to this. So I was shown that I was to stand on a plateau. And I was at the beach because the beach is my favorite place.
Mm.
And to have God's light come down and cover me. And I would say, I am statements. So I would say, I am healed. I am loved. I am loved unconditionally. I am at peace. I am, and I would just say all these things. So I was shown you did this exercise together. You did the release side, then you did the refill side. 3 times on release, 3 times on refill, 3 times a day. Taps into the 369 code of the universe, which I
Mm-hmm.
didn't figure that out until about 2 years ago. Because when I was working with all these clients and I would have them, I'm like, okay, this is how you do it. And then this works, because it worked on me and it works on others. And I'm like, why does this work? And then it clicked one day and I'm like, duh, 369, like it's tapping in. That's why. So besides the fact that, they really want to do the work, but it's very, you come to face some really hard truths about yourself. And that exercise, I can tailor it to emotions or situations or people. So I can say caused by or connected to, and they release that way. Like we can go through and release trapped emotions from any trauma that you've had in your life, whether it's connected to a situation or a person. A lot of times people have they can have up to like 35, 40 emotions, connected or caused to one person or situation. And so you go through and you release all of those. And the release and refill is one way to do it. Another way is I have a motion wheel that I use, and it goes much deeper. It's kind of based on the emotion code by Dr. Bradley Nelson,
Mm.
but I don't do exactly as he does. I've developed my own way to do it. It's what works for me intuitively. Then
Mm-hmm.
I can help them release past life trauma as well. So like I've got it so designed that and people really love. They don't usually like the release and refill exercise, but they love the emotion wheel because it really gets down and pulls out not just the surface emotions, not just anger or fear, it's depression or submission or there's it's a huge wheel of all these emotions. It's amazing. And I love doing that work with people because it's when they graduate and they leave me, because you're not supposed to coach with me forever, but when they leave, and they go on and like they're manifesting their life and everything's just coming to them and they're growing and healing. It's just so, for me, I'm like so proud of them and just cheering them on, like just to see how amazing it is because they've worked really hard and they deserve everything that they get from doing all of that inner soul work. So that's what it is. And you go through massive spiritual awakenings while you're doing this work. And it takes about, you get to about 5 to 7 months is when you start to hit your soul, what I call your soul roots. And that's when it starts getting really hard. And a lot of times people want to quit, but the ones that push through and keep going, they find success all around.
Mm. Sounds a little bit like labor, giving birth.
Yeah, I would say it is, except like, I don't know, when people coach with me, they're usually with me for um, anywhere from 12 to 24 months, just depending on what they're working on. And it also is like how open you are to and being prepared to heal and do the work. Because
Mm.
I've had people that were finished at 12 months or earlier because they really dug in and they did it. But the thing is I've had some clients recently come back and they're like, this has come up. We healed from this, but this is another area of it. So we do some work on it. They feel better and they go on. Then they need like tune-ups every now and then, you know.
Yeah, and that makes total sense because we are constantly evolving and having new experiences, and those new experiences trigger something that wouldn't have been triggered without that new experience. So it makes total sense. It's yeah, I love this. And the thing that I love like the most, I don't know, I love everything about it, but if I can, I don't know. Anyway, you know what I'm trying to say is that this is like channeled through you. You know, it is literally your soul work to be doing this stuff, and that it came to you in a time where you almost died. You know, like that's incredible. That is absolutely freaking incredible. And of course, it makes sense that you cannot label this as life coach or, oh, no, 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 no. This is like incredible. How long have you been doing this for? Like, how long? Sorry, I have so many questions, but how long, how long did it take? Because obviously, this process was shown to you for your own healing.
Yeah.
And obviously, this is actually just something that your soul does, you know, but the human experience is such that you would not have put yourself in a position to receive this information and understand the gravity and the power of it without having such a life. You know, it's just the nature of being human. We have to go through the physical thing to then go, oh, you know, so what was that process like? And then how long but like between you doing it with yourself, did you start to then feel confident enough to then offer this to people? Because that part, that's a scary part, especially if it's nothing that exists anywhere and it's purely from you.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it too, is I design each protocol per client. There is no cookie cutter protocols that I do. Now that the exercise is the same, but release, refill, but I design everything per client. So it's a personalized healing experience. And there's a lot of times where sometimes they are like, this is not connecting to me. And I'm like, okay, I think you would do better this way. That's where my intuition comes in and I'm able to tap in and see how they will understand it or do better with it. Now, I've always done, like work on myself, but I will say the inner work started probably in 2010
Mm.
and grew from there because I was going through a divorce and got really messy and it dragged out for quite a while. And when I left that marriage, I didn't know who I was. I had no self-esteem, no self-worth. I had to rebuild myself. So I started doing exercises for myself then, like putting all my negative feelings in a jar, writing them on a piece of paper and putting them in a jar. And then at first you're supposed to have like a positive word jar, but I didn't have anything positive to say about myself when I started. So if I got a compliment at work or if someone said something to me, I would write that down and I would put it in my positive jar. So after 30 days, I would take out the negatives. And if I still felt that way about myself, I'd put them back in the jar and reassess 30 days later. Same thing with the positives. And it took me a while to feel those positives. And when I did, though, when I was like, you know what, I am a good worker, or, I am a kind person, I would write them on a post-it note and I started out putting them around my bathroom mirror. But then I started getting so many that I would put them in my car. I would put them inside the cabinets in the kitchen, just so that wherever I looked or wherever I went, I was encouraged. Because it was a really dark time that I
Mm.
was going through. Then after that, then I get diagnosed with Lyme. So it's like it was just one big tidal wave after another, just kept knocking me down.
Mm.
So, and probably when I started doing the release and refill, this is where you got to be very careful with this. Your words have so much power.
Mm.
And when you're putting that action behind those words and you're believing that they're working. So I was saying at the time, I was like, I release all negative fully and permanently from my life, and I was saying that. Well, what happened was I had a storage unit with my whole house in it back in Indiana, and I lost my storage unit. There was a freak storm that happened. It was like wind and all this, and it twisted the building. And so water came in, and so the things that didn't get ruined pertain to my kids or like a grandparent or something, but I lost just about everything. Everything. It was ruined. It was crazy. But see, that's where I learned the lesson. I just feel like everything had a purpose. I learned that, okay, I shouldn't have said I release all negative. I needed to like fine tune that. So my experiences that I went through with this exercise and healing for myself helped me with others and how to say things and how to word it. So I started doing the coaching professionally in 2019.
Wow. What a journey. It's just so inspiring and impressive that in the darkest of dark times, the best thing about that whole process that you did was that it was external from outside of yourself. So it was a physical thing that you could see, that you could touch the notes in the jars, and it was something that you could then actually measure and count. And I love that you were just going through a process. And I know that it wouldn't have been easy, but it just gives you the opportunity to accept, this is where I'm at. I still feel these things about myself. I'm putting them back in the jar. Whereas a lot of people would want to, oh, just throw them out, get rid of them, and if I get rid of them, they're not there anymore. And no, it's like really, really true, like authentically dealing with
Yeah.
who you really are, where you really are at. And it's so, so powerful to give yourself and surrender to the process rather than I just need to be here, which is everything that we have been trained and conditioned and programmed to be inside of is just the end result, and I just love that so, so, so much. And I think taking it from an internal practice to an external physical practice, especially when internally you are like next to dead, with the level of how dark and everything it is. It's like externally being able to see these things in the reality is so powerful, so powerful. Oh, that's just, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think people are going to get so much from what you just shared.
Hope so. The thing I left out with the negative jar is once you don't feel that negative word anymore or emotion, you burn it.
Yeah.
I you burn it and it releases it to the universe and you transmute it, in peace, love, and light. But like the coaching, it's so awesome because it not only helps you heal within, You learn to set boundaries. You learn to take your power back. You learn to say no without explaining yourself. You're no people pleasing. Like all this stuff starts happening, and the universe removes who and what no longer serves you when you start doing this work. And a lot of times people get kind of freaked out by that, but I'm like, it, they've worn out their welcome. It's time for them to go. Release them. Move forward.
Mm,
You can raise your vibration up. So like all these people where I can't find the right job. I can't find the right love. I can't, if you're not happy within, you're going to keep attracting the same negative energy to you. So when
mm,
you heal within, you raise your vibration, how you feel inside is how you're going to attract that right job to you. Your soulmate, how, your the happiness is inside. No person,
mm,
place can make you happy.
mm.
It's hard for people to understand that, you know?
So good. It's so good. I love these conversations so much. And it's so, yeah, like far out. And the way that I talk about it is, in my readings and courses and things, is that uh, we're constantly cycling, right? We are constantly cycling through the different energy types, et cetera, et cetera. But what is also cycling is any traumatic cycles or any kind of cycles that actually haven't served us, whether it's from this lifetime, past lifetime, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of people will hear that and think the circumstantial, physical in life things that are cycling, but actually there are the circumstances, but there's an energetic blueprint behind those circumstances. And that is what's cycling. It gets just like anything, with children, if they continue to repeat themselves until we stop and address them. Mum, 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 mum. That is just the nature of the universe. Things repeat and repeat and repeat. And so that energetic blueprint can be shown to you in a relationship. But guess what? It can also be shown to you in a work situation or in a home situation. And the longer you leave that energetic blueprint cycle, whatever you want to call it, dealt with, the more places this cycle is going to show up because it doesn't want to continue. It wants you to transmute, heal, and then start living a higher vibration of yourself, of your life, of what you're here to do. I absolutely love what you said because it's just, Dale Holmes said this amazing thing that I have been repeating and repeating and repeating. He said that when something is true, it's proven from multiple different vantage points. And so when you said that, I was like, yes, that's exactly what I say, but from this vantage point, it's so
Right.
incredible, so incredible. And, Angie, you remind me a lot of myself, actually, if I can just share this one thing, in when you were sharing about when you were in the deepest of the dark place and yet you were doing these activities that, seems like, where the heck did you get, like, what kind of person are you to like, do these activities when you're in the darkest place possible? Why aren't you just losing yourself to a bottle of, whiskey every night? Or you're like, do you know what I mean? It's just like you shouldn't be doing those things, but you are, which is a testament to the kind of soul, like advanced kind of soul that you are. And I remember in 2020, up until 2020, I was working in a job that was like soul crushing for me. And it was like I would work 6, sometimes 7 days a week, and the hours would be like sometimes 15, 16 hours every single day. I was getting no sunlight. I wasn't eating food. I wasn't then sleeping at night because I was so wired from that massive day. And it was a high stress, high strung, like intense kind of, my nervous system was always in a state of like anxiety and, you know, Then COVID happened and couldn't work anymore. So, and I was like, great, I'm going to get to, we had all these plans, and not great that the pandemic happened, but it was like, no, I get a freaking break. Well, actually, what happened was that everything that I was suppressing came to the surface, and I spent most of 2020 completely and utterly bedridden. I was so sick. No one could pinpoint what it was, but it was everything all at the same time. I couldn't sit, I couldn't stand up from sitting without being breathless. It's just, I was so unwell. And after about 2 or 3 months, I started to notice that, hang on, I'm identifying with this as well. I'm identifying as a sick person, as an unwell person. Now I'm starting to make decisions based off being a sick person. Like, oh, I couldn't possibly do that because I'm so unwell. And my mind state started to become very sick as well. And so I decided, I don't know where and I don't know why, I decided that I would do a push-up challenge. Particularly because my sickness was very physical, and I was like couldn't, you know. So I decided to start a push-up challenge, and I started on my knees, and the challenge was very simple. It was like every single day I'm going to get down and I'm going to do one push-up every single day for an entire week. Once I've done one push-up every day for an entire week, I'm going to then do two push-ups every day for an entire week, and then 3, and then 4, and then continue. In the space of I did this for about 6 months straight. And I ended up doing full man push-ups, like 70 or 80 of them in a row. Because I was like, yeah. And after about doing this for maybe about 2 months, I started to take myself on runs. And at first I couldn't even walk 100 meters without being like gassed, like completely gassed. And then, after a few months, I was like running with my husband like 5 kilometers, nearly 10 kilometers. And, and I hadn't done anything else with my diet, everything. I was on strict supplementation and all this kind of stuff. But it was the mind state that shifted for me that then created, and so it's crazy because who does this? So I just wanted to share that because I'm like, that's so great. It's nice to know I'm not the only insane person that does stuff like this.
I don't think you're insane, and I don't think I'm insane because I was the
No.
same way. I was bedridden for 2 years,
Mm.
and I was the same way. And I would be laying in bed, and all I could do was I prayed all day long.
Oh,
That I would protect, putting myself in a bubble of God's light, covering and filling myself. I would do that all day long, every day, because I kept building my energy. Because I was like you, I refused to label myself as a sick person. I refused, like I always said, the fat lady can be singing and I'll be throwing limes at her because I am not going anywhere. This is not going to get me. But I think you have to have that mindset with anything you do.
yeah.
You got to take the power from it and give the power to yourself. And a
Mm.
lot of people can't understand how to do that. They succumb to it.
Yeah. And it's so like it's really quick and subtle. And a lot of the time you don't even realize you're succumbing to it when you're succumbing to it. So it takes a lot of self-awareness to like see it for yourself. And I was definitely full blown, like swimming around in the waters of, like I was in there. I'm like, yeah, fully succumbed, fully sick, fully victim, all of this stuff. And I don't know, just like a coconut hit me on the head one day. And I was like, hang on a second. No, I'm not giving in to this. I am stronger than this. I can do this. We can get through literally anything. I would really love to, if you don't mind, if you would share a little bit about what Lyme disease is. Lyme's disease?
Lyme. Don't
Lyme.
say it with an S. That's a no-no. No limes.
No Lyme's.
Yeah. Like
Lyme.
nails on a chalkboard. Just Lyme disease.
Lyme disease.
Well, uh, it's known that ticks carry Lyme disease, and there's co-infections of Lyme disease. Because I had two strains of Bartonella, but I had Babesia and an unidentified protozoan, which that's like a parasite. It's all parasitic, but parasites are bacterial, fungal, viral, and actual worms. So I did go through really hardcore parasitic treatment. Lyme disease, it mimics every disease there is. So it's known as the great imitator.
My
And
gosh.
it's really hard to get a diagnosis because they don't test right for it. So there's Dr. Armin Schwarzbach in Germany. He has Armin labs. His labs are the best, hands down. There's also a lab here in the United States called IGeneX. They both do very well with being able to test and see if you have Lyme, if you have co-infections, what co-infections you have, when were you bit? Because for me, like they did a test for me that it's the CD57 test, and it will tell you approximately by the number that you get, it can tell them approximately how long you've had it. So we were able to, when I got the testing done in 2013, we were able to go back because my number was like, it was either 13 or 8. I can't remember. It was really low. And your number's supposed to be, I think it's supposed to be between 60 and 120. If it's over 120, it's an indication for cancer or AIDS. If it's below 60, it's an indication for Lyme. Now, how low that number gets is how long you've been sick with Lyme. So we figured out I was bitten in 1997. And from all that I learned about Lyme, now, like I know it was on this cruise I was on, and when I had gotten off the ship for like an excursion in Costa Rica. So, and the thing is I got really, really sick. Like we had a day at sea, and when we got off the ship, I was so sick I couldn't walk. Like my ex-husband put me on the luggage cart because there was no wheelchairs, and I laid on the luggage cart, wheeling through the airport. I couldn't walk. I was so sick. So when we come back to the States, you would think my doctor would be like, oh, this girl's been out of the country. Let's do some testing to see if she picked up something. He was like, oh, she probably just picked a flu up on the ship because other people on the ship had been sick with some kind of flu. But this was like, it was horrible.
This
It
is
was
not a
the worst flu I'd ever had in my life. So, yeah, it
holy
was.
guacamole. So hang on a second. 1997, you got bitten. You didn't get, so you were then gradually getting sicker and sicker and sicker for like nearly 20 years. How long?
Like 16 years.
16.
16 years. I went misdiagnosed. I had something wrong with me, and like I kept pushing and pushing because I was married, and then we had children, and I was a stay-at-home wife and mom, so I was doing all of that stuff, and I would just push, push, push. Well, how I became bedridden is because I was still trying to work even after I came down here to my parents. And I came home from work one night, and I laid in the bed, and I couldn't get back up. I mean, it was bad, Georgina. I was having like 15 seizures a day. I had a stroke. It was absolutely horrifying. Any of the symptoms, any of the symptoms of Lyme disease or the co-infections you could have, I had them. I had all of them. It was just horrifying. And like late stage is basically like stage 4 cancer. So I mean, I came back from that. Now, I have good days and bad days. I have sometimes where I'm in a flare for a couple months, and I'm just not able to do much, and it does wear on you, but I won't let it win, you know? And I have to think like I was sick for so long, and the way I have to live my life now is like everything's has to be clean. My food, my water, what I put on my body, what goes in everything is organic and as clean as possible. And if it isn't, then I just don't have it. So, but that's how I have to live.
Mm.
And it's hard. It's hard for people to understand. It's, and I don't have that push anymore. Like I can't push myself to do things anymore. That's gone. That's
Mm.
gone. So,
I mean, that's horrible, but it's also somewhat of a blessing in disguise, isn't it? Because we shouldn't be putting anything in our body or anywhere that isn't clean, that isn't good, and we shouldn't be pushing ourselves, So it's horrible that it had to be that way and so intense to then have this happen. But far out, this is like crazy. So it literally mimics other diseases. So of course it's difficult to test for because you're like, oh, it's this disease. Oh no, hang on, it's this. And then
Yeah.
wow, but that is such a long time in between getting bitten and it's you got bitten. Like it's not like a hereditary genetic something that just
I mean, it can be. Lyme can be passed down like from the mother to the child in utero, which I didn't know at the time that I had Lyme disease when I had my children. So like I just pray all the time, like, don't let them have it. Please don't let them have it. Like, because, but at least I know if they do come out with it, I know how to treat it. I know how to hit it. I know how to get it so that they don't go years and years and years with it destroying their body, because it can lay dormant a long time and it can come out. But yeah, it was a horrible thing that happened, but I also feel there's a purpose to it.
mm,
And I feel it was a blessing because I have met so many people from around the world and become friends with them that I never would have had that opportunity to happen if it hadn't been for Lyme disease.
mm.
So,
Just absolutely freaking extraordinary. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us of such a wow, wild, 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 like strokes all the time and seizures. And this is just so much on your body. So, 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 so much. Far out. But I have noticed a trend, and that is that people who, their souls are actually very high frequency souls typically have a very, very challenging time being in the physical. And for me, uh, it's like, I don't know, if you tried to plug in some kind of really heavy machinery and charge it with just your house PowerPoint, it just, it wouldn't work. It would take a long time to integrate. Either the house needs to upgrade or that thing has to come down. And, your soul is like the heavy machinery and the house is the physical. So it's like these two things are not actually compatible, but we are doing everything we can to try and make it compatible because your soul mission is above all else absolutely freaking critical that you stay here and you fulfill on that mission, So it's just, oh gosh, it's so incredible. And so you now you do so much. You're so many things, of course. You're planet hopping all the freaking time, right? So you're a soul coach. You're also a psychic and you have a psychic development course. And can you please, and what else? And you also have a podcast as well.
yeah, I have a new podcast coming. A friend of mine, she she's written a book about parasites, and luckily for her, she was diagnosed early with her parasites and was treated. So she wants to do a podcast where we're going to call it Courtesy Flush, where we're fleshing out the lies. So we're going to talk about like everything.
I love it.
And so I'm excited to start that with her. I do a podcast with Sophie Ward as well. Well, Sophie Short now, she got married. She has Lyme disease and she's in the UK. And we bring people on to talk about things that they've overcome in their life, whether it's emotional, mental, physical, and what they're doing now and how they're helping others. So um, that's called Getting on My Nerves. It's on YouTube. And we have social media pages on Instagram and Facebook where we post things about 3 times a week, just, that focuses on mind, body, heart, and soul healing. So yeah, my psychic, I think I'm going to call it spiritual development course instead of psychic because it really is all around spiritual development. It's a level 1. So it's for beginners, but it's also for people that have their gifts open but are needing to like hone them and like, get more information. So you learn to read auras. do meditation. There's a telepathy game that I have people play to like get into that. You practice readings. You learn about spirits and ghosts and guides and angels. And I mean, it's just a little bit of everything. And it's a 4-week course. And it will be starting again in February 2025. And then I also have a new course I'm going to put out to learn tarot.
Ooh.
And yeah, tarot was always hard for me. I took courses like years and years ago. And so I've like learned my own way to read tarot. So that's how I'm going to teach the course is like Angie's way. And in with anything that people work with me or learn with me is you take what I give you and you make it your own because it's not my way or the highway. This is like a recipe I'm giving you. And everyone's different. Everybody has different gifts, even though we have a lot of similar gifts. Everybody, we're like all like the Avengers or something. We all have these amazing gifts and we can do things at different. So, and right now, everyone needs to be raising their vibration, healing within, learning what their gifts are, what they're passionate about, because it is so important right now. I've been saying it for years. When you do the work on yourself, you raise your vibration, and in turn, you're raising the vibration of the world, which is needed. We're
Mm,
moving in to the golden age. So
mm, absolutely.
robots won't,
Oh,
won't work.
no, 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 no. It absolutely won't. And yeah, I just love everything that you say. But when you speak about, like this is Angie's way of the tarot, I love that so much. And it's just like, I'm teaching numerology, as you know, and I have a very strong soul connection to numerology itself and the whole modality and everything like that. And there are, of course, what each number represents and the kind of energy flow that exists, that number attempts to describe. um, but of course, we each have our own different combination of numbers, aka our own different combination of energy. So, how the numbers are going to be expressed to you and through you will be totally or slightly different based off your energy type. So it's like this is the foundation. This is like, how it exists, through my channel. But there's so much space for it to show up specifically for each individual. And I love that so much. And your course with the tarot is perfect because someone who doesn't know anything and someone who wants to learn from someone, but it's like there are a plethora of people out there, to learn from. Where do I even start? Who do I go to? All this kind of stuff. And I love that you are, it's like, no, 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 no. This is Angie's way, it's not like this is the way. This is how to read tarot, full stop. This is how you do it. No, no, no. It's like, this is what I've discovered about the tarot. This is what's come through the channel for me about the tarot, which is so much more authentic, in my opinion, because there is the tarot itself. And it's just like with anything, it's like, you can learn from a book or you can learn from other sources or other things, but I want to learn from source. I want to learn from your channel. I want to learn from a place that you can't describe how you understand that, because that for me is authentic. That is organic. It is truth from the source. Do you know what I mean? So I love that. I love that so much. And I think you should like put that on a banner and plaster it on your forehead and tell everybody this is Angie's way. And we're learning Angie's way, but this will be an avenue for you to learn your way, So great. I'm fascinated about the tarot, but I don't really, it's in very hard concept for me to get my head around tarot. Like I understand it, but I can't like the cards and I just can't. It's just too, I don't know. My brain is very numbers, and it's the
Well,
same with astrology. Like I just can't get my head around all these different things.
yeah, because they're not those things like tarot cards, crystals, all that, they're tools, okay? Like when I do my readings, I don't use cards. I just read and the information comes to me and I say what I get, what I feel, and I can use cards if people want me to. It just validates what I'm saying. But the cards are a tool to help you open your gift. Crystals are a tool, a pendulum. Like with pendulums, a lot of people, oh, I want to get a pendulum. Well, if your heart and mind aren't in alignment and you're not solid and grounded with your gifts, and the pendulum can read your thoughts. So if you're like really wanting that answer to be yes and it should be no, the pendulum is going to tell you yes. So you got to
Mm.
be we got to be careful because there's a process. And you're right. Like I always tell people, protect your energy, be careful who you listen to, be careful what you read. If it doesn't feel right to you, trust that. That
Mm.
doesn't mean it's wrong for everyone, but it's wrong for you. And it's
Mm.
so important that because you take that in and it can mess up the path that you're on or the gifts that you're working on or So
Yes. It's so good. It's so, so, so good. Like just everything that you say. I'm like, yes, I love. I'm such a fangirl. I can't help it. I'm just gonna own that I'm a
I'm
freaking
always like, Georgina.
oh my gosh. But because my own journey, I have spent so much of my life, like I am a lot like you in that I love learning. I'm just like a perpetual student for life, curious about everything. If there's something I don't know, I'm like, oh, satiated. I'm like, tell
Yeah.
me everything. Even if I don't do anything with that information, I just want to know. I'm so curious. But on the flip side, because I'm so curious and just a forever student, there's this challenge called, oh, I don't know enough. I don't know enough yet. I can't talk about that. I can't share about that. I don't know enough. I can't teach it. I can't do readings. I don't know enough. And so for a long time, I would like sign up to courses, not for the content, but just for the piece of paper, that see, now I can talk about it, because the content didn't resonate with me, but I'm like, this means I'm enough. This means I can talk about it. This gives me like this. And then, so I was just doing courses left, right, and center for that piece of paper, for that to label, and, or recognition, so to speak. Of course, underlying that, I was not trusting my own self, my own knowledge, my own wisdom, my own channel. Oh my gosh. You tell me 5 years ago that I was a channel and I could do all these things and just, no, I would punch you where you stand. No, shut up. Spiritual, no, 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 Um, but then as I obviously healed and transmuted that energy and those traumas and all of that kind of stuff, I started to recognize, oh, actually there is a channel there. And there's a guy in one of my courses recently, who every single session he's like reminding me, you're a very powerful channel. Trust your channel. And I'm so blessed and grateful for him because I do still question, like, oh, I don't know, like this. But now I've gotten to a point where, hang on, if something is true, it's proven from multiple different vantage points. If there's a specific kind of truth coming through me, then perhaps the truth that is coming through me, or the vantage point of a truth that's coming through me, the way that it's being expressed through me is actually the only one that exists, then I better be very selective with what I read, with what I listen to, with what I hear, because I don't want that to then contaminate what could organically be coming through me. So to this day, I haven't read a single book on numerology, or anything like that. I'm really, no, 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 like I need it to come through that channel. So it's such a pendulum swing, where I was totally and utterly not. And then now I'm like, no, no, got to be very selective. And I think there's so much power in, like, firstly, recognizing what is true about yourself, what is true about the specific gifts that you have. And that's a lot of people, I feel, they feel like they have something, they just don't know what it is because it's so just like business as usual for them. So many people I read for, and I'm like, whoa, you've got so, and they're like, Doesn't everybody do that? No, no. So I love that you have a course that is like kind of designed for wherever you're at. You feel like you have something, you don't know what it is, or don't know how to recognize it, or kind of hone it, so to speak. These are different things that you could potentially, move towards or develop, etc. And I love the spiritual development because it is definitely psychic development. So it feels, and I can feel your energy that you don't like that 5 energy that's in your life path number. They don't like limitations. I don't want to be pigeonholed into anything. So what's a term that can be broad, that covers, because you can't label what we are, what you are. You can't label that into something that's pre-existing. It feels like a prison, feels like
Yes.
so
I
that's
don't
so, I love that.
And I do like in the spiritual development course, I do teach the release and refill exercise because I feel it's very important part of opening up your gifts. Because if you're unhealed, you're going to second guess yourself. You're not going to be right, when you do try to read, or you're trying, so it's that's a very important part of it too. Just a whole spiritual development.
Totally, totally, totally. You cannot develop yourself spiritually into your higher soul purpose, being, et cetera, whatever you want to refer to it as, if there's a boatload of unhealed trauma, energy, belief systems, thought patterns. It's just you can't do both. It's like a physical example is like when you're in labor and you're trying to give birth, your body will not, you need to be producing oxytocin like it's going out of fashion. This is like, the most powerful pain relief that you can get. It is what has the bait. Like, it's such an important part. But if there's any kind of stressor in your environment or thought patterns or work, you cannot produce the amount of oxytocin you need if you're also producing cortisol. It's like one or the other. You got cortisol or oxytocin, so it, you've you cannot do both. You can't be manifesting abundance and high level soul purpose, if in your real life you are investing in low vibrational thoughts and belief systems and relationships and toxic environments and all of that. All of it has to, but you have to go through those experiences, heal from them, aka transmute them, then, and I always have to say as well, like, when we describe like the process of healing and developing and all this kind of stuff, it does leave people with a sense of like it's a linear process, like one, then the next, then the next. But it's like, it's not, is it? It's not at all, so
Any type of healing is not linear, like with Lyme, there's like I had to have my own. I finally, when I have so many stories with Lyme and what I went through, but I had left Western medicine because it just was making me sicker. I got down to like 99 pounds. And so like I prayed. The Bart was out of control. Bart makes you, for me, I called Bart the Beast because, and Bart, Angie would come out and she's not a nice person when that happens because it just takes over. Like you
what's
have
Bart?
rage.
Sorry.
Bartonella.
Oh, Bartonella.
It's, yeah, cat scratch fever, but there's different strains of Bartonella and I had 2. So it was the worst for me, but it would change my personality. Like you have excruciating pain. Like I literally felt like I was losing my mind with how my brain and everything felt. And I remember I just pulled my car over one day and I prayed and I said, I need an answer in 24 hours or less of where to go, what to do, how I can beat this. And 12 hours later, I heard from this woman and she was putting on a Lyme conference and she asked me to speak at it. But come to find out, she was a naturopath too. And she helped me. And then I took it from there and got myself to a wellness place in 2018. And I was doing great. until I caught COVID in early 2020.
Mm.
And I'd only been in wellness for 14 months, so I wasn't strong enough and it just knocked me back down. So it's been like a battle ever since trying to get back to where I was. But I feel like I'm getting close again. But it's just like all of those things, even though it's like been so frustrating and so hard, and at times I want to give up, but there's something inside of me that will not let me give up.
Mm.
Besides my kid, like I'm
Mm.
here for my kid. But there's just something that is like, nope, you can't quit. You can't quit. There is a way around this. And like when you're talking about manifesting, when your thoughts, your beliefs, your intentions, your words and your actions all have to be in sync. So that means if you're speaking and saying your manifestations and then you cancel yourself out by thinking, well, I hope that happens. Or if that happens, well, you just canceled yourself out. So you can say
Mm.
cancel real quick, to like cancel it out. But that's why people have so much trouble with manifesting. Those people that have things where it just seems like they're falling in their lap, like things just that's manifesting because they believe it and they think it, they feel it, they say it. Everything is in sync. Once you do that inner work on yourself, you're manifesting just that's part of the part of the release and refill is so you begin learning how to manifest.
Yeah, and
It's
it's
powerful.
so powerful. And I think the piece that is really critical to understand about this process is the action part. And it's not just like, all right, I'm trying to manifest a Lamborghini and then, I'm moving my body in the direction and taking actions in life towards, someone who already owns a Lamborghini. I'm living my life like I already own it. That's one part of it. But
Right.
if you are also at the same time investing, and when I say investing, I don't mean like just financially, I mean energetically, your time, your emotion, all of that. It's all an investment. I like to think about, I like to think about, energetics and manifestation like everything I'm doing is an investment, because then if I relate to it like it's an investment, it tells me immediately in that moment that I'm expecting a return on this investment.
Right.
And if I'm
That's
expecting a
right.
return, the universe is going to give me that return, whether I like it or not. So everything that we do, every action we take, every relationship we invest, everything, if we're like moving our body and living as if we already own a Lamborghini, but in real life, I'm investing in very low vibrational, you know, situations, circumstances, relationships, unhealed inner trauma, all of this stuff. It's like you're giving me lip service. The universe is like, it's just lip service. In real life, you're actually telling me you want more of these situations. You know what I mean? So, action, not just moving towards something, but also the action of decluttering, healing. This is the hard, it's easy to move your body towards something. It's hard to move your body into the direction of, well, I've got to freaking put the freaking, my boots and my rubber gloves on, and I've got to get down and dirty with myself and deal with the stuff that's actually stopping me, blocking me, keep weighting me down, all of these things. Doing that, this is when universe, God, higher self, whatever people refer to as, oh, they're serious. They're actually really serious. And when you
Right.
start to do that work, the words you speak stop being lip service to yourself. And then, of course, to your higher being. It's like you sat in that, was it a car? And I can't remember what you said. You were sitting and you were like, I need an answer in 12 hours, you know?
In my car, I would pull it over. This
Yeah,
is it.
right. This is it.
I
I need an
literally
answer.
I didn't want to be here anymore. I couldn't take it. It was my mind. My friend that she does massages on me and she said she does the energy work too. And she said she had never, even with the cancer patient, she had never felt that kind of energy before as what she'd felt with the Lyme and the Bartonella. Like it was just insanity, insanity.
Mm.
And, but a lot, I want to bring this up too, because I know a lot of people are, with the whole spiritual stuff, they they skip over this inner work, this hard work that you have to do. And like they want to go do spiritual things like ayahuasca. And I'm not saying any of those things are bad. I'm saying if you do them when you're in like a new soul level and it propels you up here, you haven't done all the work to get up here. You are going to be like spinning crazy insane. Like you're going to lose your mind. So a lot of people want to skip that, and you can't. You have to go through it to get to the other side and have the rewards.
And it's so, I think it really shows up in, when people have like overnight kind of success. You see this often. They have like this overnight, they go from one end of the spectrum right to the other end of the spectrum. They get there and they're like, great, I should be happy now, right? But all of that stuff that they skipped over in between, they still feel empty inside. They still have terrible relationships with their family, with their partner, all of, so even in like a logistical, physical look at life, the 3D version, I suppose you could refer to it as, that is represented there too. So it's, you have to go through this process. And again, it's not linear. It's not like once I've done all of the healing work, only then can I start receiving my get. No, 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 no. The moment you create space, something shows up. And it feels, honestly, Angie, for me, it feels psychotic at times because you are like down in the depths. And then all of a sudden you get this incredible download and something happens and it's like a mirror and you're just like it's such a, do you know what I mean? And it's like constant, it's intense. And I feel at times quite psychotic that I'm this end of the spectrum and then this end in a day, in a single day, but
Especially lately, like in the last couple months, the
yeah.
energy of the world has been so intense, so draining. Like, I mean, I always protect my energy every day anyway, but it feels like I'm having to do it more because it feels like there's like, I don't know, like I'm being drained from another source that I'm not even aware of. Like,
Mm.
because I think everyone is coming to realize that we are entering into this golden age that, it's basically, you know, do your business or get off the pot. Like you've got to make a choice now. Do you want to stay in the lower vibration or do you want to go up into the newer vibe? Because the low vibes are not going to be able to survive in the
No,
higher.
no, no, no. And this is like so represented in the numbers as well. I can't help but talk about the number aspect of this.
Yeah,
But
I love.
well, I'm glad because I'm a nerd for it, obviously. But with that, 2025, we're heading into a 9 universal year. 9 is at the end of the cycle, and I'm going to do an entire video on this. But yeah, I know I'm a little bit like, oh, whenever I have to do video, not have to, I'm just like, what am I going to say? What am I going to talk about? I've got nothing to say. It's crazy because the moment I start talking, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was 3 hours.
I like your videos. It's like you give so much information, and sometimes I watch them twice because I want to take notes or something because you're giving really detailed stuff. So I love it.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Well, that's amazing. Um, I'm like can't stop smiling after you say that to me. Um, because yeah, like a lot of it is really channeled. And so when it's channeled, it can come with, a bit of like fear and uncertainty. He's like, I don't have any like evidence, so to speak, to back this up. It's just like what's coming through. But yeah, so 2025, we're universally under a 9 energy. So this is the end of a cycle next year. Of course, it's been a 9-year cycle, but there's been lots and lots going on that has been, when you don't deal with what you need to deal with in one cycle, it just continues. It just compounds into, so we're now the difference between this cycle that we're about to end, being 2025, is that we're under like the double twos. I spoke about this last night in the course, right? The 2 energy is love. It's the frequency of love. And it is one of the highest vibrations that can exist on this planet. It's an energy that hasn't existed in abundantly since the year 200. So that's a long time for humanity to be going without an abundant energy of love being present for all of us. So in the same way that people like you and I, very heart-centered, very, like this, there was no space for us to exist in the 1900s or in the 1000s whatsoever. That is just not, it was very, very, very hardcore, challenging, dominating. You don't get a say, you don't get to feel, you don't get to speak, you don't get to nothing. It was just very, very, very hardcore. So this year coming into 2025, which is a 9 energy, everything, the spotlight is going to be on all of the things that all of us in the entire world have not dealt with, have not looked at, have put aside. And we all have stuff, because as we go through the cycle, each energy that we're under has us focusing in a specific direction, meaning things that don't necessarily pertain to that specific thing. Under a 1 energy, there's lots of new beginnings. You start over, you're a new mom, a new job, a new this, a new relationship, new marriage. So your energy and the energy that you're being pulled by is intentionally focusing you on these new beginnings. There are things that still happen that your focus is, so you energetically, so you put those aside. I've got to focus on a new baby right now. I don't have space or time to deal with that. So it's natural, right? And then the same with each number, there's a specific focus. By the time we get to a 9 energy, actually the focus is now on that stuff. So all of the things, and if you have been working on yourself for a long period of time and you actively work on releasing and, dealing with things as they come up, then the intensity of next year isn't going to be like life or death for you, so to speak. It's still going to be challenging. We're already feeling the pull of that because we are in a cycle. Of course, we start to feel the pull of the next before it's actually happened. So I don't know about you, but I'm feeling it,
Things, because I've done a lot of intense work on myself over the last, I don't know, let me think. Man, it's probably been like 10 years or so, but I've been having things like resurface in a different way. And I'm like, wait a minute, I thought I healed from that. Why am I feeling this? But see, the good thing about when you're in that place, you can take what you're feeling and you don't have to do all the emotions and stuff. You're just like, I release this. It doesn't have control of me. It's done, transmute it, and it leaves. It's that simple. But people think that once they do the healing work or they do the work on themselves or whatever, that's it, they're done. It's like an onion. You just keep peeling back the layers because you just keep going in and new things will come up but it's not as hard to heal. But I think what's happening right now, like with what you're talking about, because of our gifts, like I am feeling everyone's stuff along with mine. And I try not to be that tuned in. I try to protect my energy, but it's so strong right now that it's it's a little bit insane.
It's quite, yeah, it's full on, and we're not even in the year yet. You know what I mean? And so I'm like going crazy to people about invest in your healing now. Start now. Do not wait. If there's stuff coming up for you resurfacing, which yes, there's absolutely going to be a lot of things resurfacing. People will pop up out of the blue that you haven't even thought about, or something will, it will. This is what next year is going to be about. And my heart goes out to all of the people that, especially through that 2020, 2021, that period where they did things to themselves and to their children that they didn't necessarily want to. That stuff's going to be brought to the surface. The global agendas, they're going to throw everything at us. There's already talk about the aliens coming and the digital ID, all of the agendas that have been wound up over the past few years or months or whatever it is, it's all going to be thrown at us. They're bringing it all, because if humanity heal, they're in danger. If we continue in our cycles of trauma and abuse and programming, they kind of win, so to speak. you know.
Right.
So the other component of this is that we're like halfway now, or almost halfway to 2030. Now, I know there's been a lot of talk historically and stuff like this about the year 2030 and what they're predicting for it. But when you look at those numbers, well, 2 represents love, which for a long time I thought was the highest frequency that could exist on this planet. Then I learned that actually authenticity and truth is it vibrates literally at a frequency that is at least 400 times higher than love.
Oh, wow.
Three,
Amazing.
3 energy represents truth. So we're under a year, which is 2 and 3, zeros magnifying those 2 energies. It's exactly what everybody has been talking about, that if you don't deal with yourself and you don't raise your vibration, it's going to be incredibly difficult for you to exist in this new energy with any kind of pretense or fake or untrue natureness about yourself and your life. As challenging as it is right now, just being under the 2020s, everyone's toxicity when it comes to relationships with themselves, with each other, it's all being brought to the surface. Well, when we move towards that 3 energy, any part of you, any part of your life, any part of your relationships, any thought patterns, what you do, your work, anything that actually isn't a true, authentic representation, not just of you, but your soul.
Yes. Yeah.
It will be utterly, ridiculously, incredibly uncomfortable, if not challenging, if not impossible for you to then exist in that energy without having to look and face at your stuff. So doing the work now, preparation.
Gonna help you for later.
Exactly.
Well, to help when that time, because I know we're moving into this energy, and I want to ask you this because, well, I have 2 things I want to ask you, and it's number related, so you'll love it. So I felt like when we entered 2020, and it was actually like towards the end of 2020, going into 2021, I felt like we were flipped upside down, and we've been hanging upside down all this time. And I actually started noticing a couple years ago that certain years were repeating. And so, like, for instance, for me having to go back on treatment, I went back on treatment in 2022. Well, in 2015 and 16, I was on treatment. And then I was in a wellness state and from 14 months from 2018 to early 2020. But like my father passed away in 2017. Then I had a significant death that happened in 2022. It just seemed like these years was paralleling, and I wondered if it was just me. So I started asking people, I'm like, are you noticing that certain years are repeating right now? So I was thinking it was something with maybe like a timeline jump, or like something had been altered with time. But maybe it's something with like what you're talking about with the numbers.
Mm. Yeah, it's especially when things started to really intensify in 2020. It's one thing to be under a single 2. So what happens when 2 energy is around, 2 energies draw out the toxicity.
Okay.
Everything that doesn't exist, that isn't a pure representation of absolute unconditional love, gets brought to the surface. So it's one thing to be under that singularly, 2000s, etc. We can get further into the details with those specific years and what the energy was. 2015 was an 8 energy, then a 9 energy. So you were like, right,
Okay.
lots of things. The end of the cycle was near, so to speak. So everything was being brought up, right, from the previous cycle. Then 2020 happened. That's actually a 4 energetic year. But we also have 2 2s. So now it's like anything that is still toxic within you, whether it has to do with your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your soul, your relationship with your body. 4 energy is all about health, right? Interesting. They picked a 4 energy year where huge pandemic, so that when you said everybody got flipped, literally what they do is they take the energetics, the purity of them, and invert them and then use that inversion. So while 2020 could have been an amazing year for health, for people to actually, heal and all of this amazing stuff, they were like, no, 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 no. We are going to use that and make everybody sick.
Okay.
But
Okay, that makes sense.
yeah, so it's also those zeros magnify the twos. So that's why if you had to go back into treatment, then it kind of makes sense because perhaps what was actually going on was some kind of toxicity, so to speak, in actually how you felt about yourself, how you felt about like really deep, deep, deep stuff that was manifesting physically. Because as we know, stored emotion manifests physically in the body.
Yes.
So,
100%.
and then you're also dealing with the inversion of that.
Right.
Horrible. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does. I just wondered, I mean, it must have been like the same type of energy. I don't know. I just felt like there was certain years that were repeating the last 4 years. I feel like the last 4 years have had certain years repeating because there's been like a common thread running through it, whether it was me going back on treatment or a death or, something happening. But I mean, I feel like we're moving past that. But I want to ask you this too. For the last 2.5 years, I have been stalked, and I mean stalked by these numbers: 707, 711, 717. I mean, I won't be looking at the clock for the numbers. I just look and I'll see it. And literally it's like 707, 711, 717. If I miss looking at the clock, it will come up on my notifications on my phone, in my mail, or, in whatever way. It'll be on. I'm like, what? What's on my phone right now is 17. Like, it's for notifications. It's the sevens and the ones. And I know I was learning about ones last night, but haven't learned about seven yet. So I was like, I know Georgina has the answer to this. Like, for 2.5 years, these numbers have stalked me.
That's amazing. I love that so much. What is so cool is that, well, your life path number, the main number is a 7.
Yeah.
So it's your life path stalking you.
I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
It's like ramp it up, ramp it up. The 7 energy being the gateway energy of the planet hopper. You're a walking encyclopedia, so to speak, of like galactic intelligence. Do you know what I mean? So it's like the 707 is like open the channel, let the channel in, bring it in, bring it in, bring it in. The 2 sevens on either side is like, lady, we've got so much for you. We've got so much info. It wants to like be transported through that 0. And the zeros are like, it's like, I can't even explain what it's like when there's a 0. Zeros there's no space and time. So it's instant. It's like instant recall. It's like download, boom, it's right there. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's like 707, but 707 is 14, which is 5. 5 is also part of your life path number, which is all about freedom, right? Yeah. Moving towards freedom and your desire to be free from all of these things that you're constantly kind of plagued with, so to speak, in the physical realm. The 711, that's 9. 9 is the healer. It is like we are ending the cycle here. It's like the cycle is ending. It's either a message for you that is like this is ending. Don't worry, this is coming to an end. Or this is a message of like, you need to use this for healing, for continue, the transmutation of all, 9s are like universal energy. They are, they're tapped into everything, everywhere, all at once. There's no space and time when it comes to a 9 energy. They have access to all of the different frequencies. They heal all the different frequencies. That's why Tesla was so obsessed with the 9 energy. It was just, every energy, if you think about if you think about the numbers, like they're channels you've paid for, certain channels you've paid, certain channels you haven't paid for, so you don't get access to the ones you haven't paid for, right? So if you have a two, the two energy can tap into the two frequency, and that's it. You've paid for that channel. Everything that channel plays, all the shows, everything you get access to. If you don't have it, you don't get access to it. Simple as that, right? Nines, well, nines not only have access to all the channels, but they are actually the frequency in which the channels operate on.
Okay. Okay.
So when something happens under a nine energy, it happens for all energies everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, it's profound. So the energy work, the energy healing that you're doing and constantly investing in and transmitting out into the world and talking about and sharing, and the courses, the coaching, nines are the most amazing, like, healer, guru, guide, coach, psychologist, you know what I mean? All like, it's like, when you see the number, do you feel it's like a pulling type energy, or do you feel like it's like a concrete type energy when you see that number, when you look at it?
When I see it, I feel like what I have felt like this whole time is there is a message there, but I don't know what it is. I know it's important. And I do feel like the numbers were for me because I told a couple of friends about it and they're like, well, maybe it's a date. Well, then like July came and passed and like nothing happened on those dates. And I'm like, I don't think they're dates. And I thought that from the beginning. I was like, I don't think they're dates, but I was trying to rule everything out. I do feel like it's a message for me. I don't
Mm,
feel like it's one for me to like give to other people. I feel like it's something for me so that I can then take that information and give to other people.
yeah, exactly. 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 That is exactly it. And then you have, what's cool is that it's 707, 711, 717. So the 717 is a 15. Again, the five energy comes up. The six energy, this is like security. This is Mother Earth, divine, feminine type energy, So it's like the five, the order that you gave me these numbers is really interesting. So it's like breaking free, the five energy, breaking free of the current constraints to move towards freedom, which is then going to what, nine energy, heal, and heal abundantly, universally, everywhere, right? The six energy, that is like ultimate security, peace, harmony. So it's literally like a journey that you're on with these energies, with these numbers and the messages. That it's really, really, really cool. The numbers themselves, the 707, it's like, come on, like the seven energy wants you to back your seven energy. Your life path is a seven. So it's like, back your seven energy. Maybe you deal with some deep level, like internal trust, trust in yourself, trust in your channel, trust like this. The sevens don't want you to focus on trusting yourself because it's neither here nor there. They want you to focus on backing yourself, being willing to bet on yourself. That's why it's like a mirror of the seven energy. Like, come on, like the seven is enough. You are enough. What you've got is enough. Let's now take this and go, which leads to the 711. The ones, as you learned last night, they're the action takers, the initiators, my terms, my way, the creation, the organic creation through you. Your seven is leading to those ones. It's also an 11. An 11 is spiritual messenger energy. So it is like, there's so much in these messages that you've been seeing.
No, and I'm just like, and nobody could help me until now. The number lady, like the number, you are like the number guru. I don't like that word guru, but like you're
Yeah.
like the master number lady, like the teacher of all teachers. I'm telling you, like numbers, I've always had numbers in my life. I've always loved numbers, and numbers have like, even when I was a kid, I would like count like in uneven numbers or by threes. I do threes a lot, and I do even numbers too. But it's since I've started taking your course, like I'm really being able to break down the numbers and understand. Because even in my readings, a lot of times I get numbers. Things will come to me in threes for validation, But then whether it's three names or I get three numbers, a lot of times I get the numbers that could be birth dates or anniversaries or like an age or something, but sometimes they don't know what it is. And by taking your course, I'm going to be able to decipher like, okay, if they don't know what this number is, then this is a message for them. It's
Mhm.
huge.
It's
That's going to be like a whole new part that I can offer in readings and in my courses too. Like,
oh
because I do teach about angel numbers, but like there's this site that I use that a client gave me years ago, and it's really, really good. She's a lady from Australia, and she's done the site from like starting from zero, and she goes all the way up to like 3,400 something. She breaks down each of the numbers. I should send it to you so you could look at it because I feel it's authentic. She does talk about numerology on it, and but she's more about like the messages of it. But then you said something, I think it was last week. You said like when you look at those messages, it's kind of a general message. But sometimes I get such a weird number, like I'll wake up at a certain time and I'll remember it in the morning. So I look at it and like 8:23 or something, but it will like flash to me. It gets kind of, like bold and then goes down. So I know it's a message. So I'll look it up and that it may be like telling me like, you need to work harder or you need to do that, like whatever it is. It is kind of a general message, but that's why I'm so thankful to be learning in your course because now I'm going to be able to like take it deeper
mm,
because I've been getting numbers. I love numbers. I hated math. I was horrible at math,
yeah.
but numbers I've always loved. So it's just making sense.
It's making so much sense. There's so much in what you said that I was just frothing over. Even like when you said you get things come to you in threes, and that's confirmation of truth. Well, duh, because three energy is truth. So of course it comes to you in threes. Oh, I love that so much. And yes, I love that numbers, numbers, numbers. And I share in my course that I actually and not to disqualify other modalities, not at all. But I do believe that like numbers is like the original when it comes to like interpreting, giving us a physical way to interpret the energetics of the universe, AKA the language of the universe. I really feel like numbers are actually the original. I mean, when you think about it, everything is created in language. Language is numbers, numbers is energy. And so that's why numbers is such a pretty like foundational aspect in all of the modalities. And we receive messages via numbers. Even if we don't know what that means, we still get the messages because it's how they communicate with us, right? So, and yes, like angel numbers and things like that, I know there is some credit to it and validity to it, but when I'm generally speaking, most people in the population don't fully actually understand what they're doing with those angel numbers. So it becomes like a hyped thing, and it also, for me, it makes people, particularly when angel numbers are only referred to as the triple digit numbers 333, 222, 111, da, 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 like this. And because that, as you have shared, your messages are coming through 707, 711,
Right.
717. They're not angel numbers, but what the hype around the angel numbers do is it has people not see the other messages that they're actually getting and not validating them and not recognizing them. I get messages all the time that are not triple digits. The triple digits, when I get them, it's typically because I haven't been listening and now they're like screaming at me. It's like, come on. But it's
Right.
when you start paying attention to the subtle messages, this is how you feel guided throughout your whole life. Like that, those three numbers you just gave me literally that just annihilated your whole experience and where you're going. It's like you constantly been getting these messages. It's like, well, yeah, like it makes total sense with where you're at and where you're going. And I also like, because I've had people in the past tell me maybe you should develop an app or do a website where people can like put something in and then it'll tell them what that means for them and all this kind of stuff. And I just cannot bring myself to do that because I don't like anything being generalized. And I can like the message, someone else could be seeing 707 and it means something completely different to them because they have a different combination of numbers They have a different
Right.
life circumstance. They have, so I don't, and you see lots of people in groups and Facebook groups. I've been seeing this number. What does it mean? And then there's all of this very general, and that person doesn't actually know what to do with that because it doesn't fully apply, so to speak, and I don't know, I'm very detail oriented when it comes to this stuff.
If you can take, like, people get a reading with you and you personalize it, just like I personalize things too. It means more, you're more authentic, got that three energy going on with the truth, because I'm all about the truth too. And I can tell, I can feel when someone's lying to me. Like if
Mm.
they're telling the truth, it plays like a movie in my third eye. But if they're lying, I used to see like a snake go across their face, and it was the word liar, and it was going like a snake across their face. They were telling the truth. It used to like be like a stamp in all capital letters, the word truth. Now I know. And like if I see it playing in my head, I'm like, okay, like that's legit, but and it's not like I'm trying to read everyone if they're lying, but it's a feeling I get. It's
Mm.
just and I know whether to engage with that person or not, or just stay back. It's I'm so excited to be able to learn everything. I want to learn everything about the numbers, and like just because I find it's fascinating. I feel like you said it's a whole new language. And so I'm going to learn this whole new language, and then I'm going to be able to apply it to everything.
Mm. And that's the beauty about numbers is it is universal, and it because our whole world is built from the foundation of numbers. It applies everywhere with everything, no matter what it is. You can apply the knowledge, and as much as it is a new language, it's also a very ancient one, and so it takes a little bit of in the beginning, of course, because it's like, oh my gosh, it's a new concept, so to speak. But as you get into it, you start to realize that, hang on, I think I've actually been speaking this for a long time. And it's more of a remembering and a
Yeah.
recall than actually a new learning, and simply because it is truth, it is organic, it is actually within us all, literally. So
Right.
it's just,
Yeah.
hey, like, remember this, you know? So
Yeah.
anyway, I did not want to spend this podcast talking about me, and my thing and my numbers and all this kind of stuff. But of course, you had the question, so I'm going to answer them. And I hope I answered them in a way that made sense to you and was helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's
Thank
just
you.
it's so, so, so cool. It's so cool. That combination that you're getting is so cool. Whoa. Yes.
Think they've been screaming it to me for 2.5 years. I feel like they were like singing and dancing, like my guides and stuff were like, oh my gosh, she's finally understanding the message.
Yes. Yeah, because it's a really serious message. I mean, 707, 711, 717. All of a sudden that zero then becomes replaced with the one energy, which is like ultimate back
Yeah.
in, ultimate like this is it. You've come into yourself, your truth, when you go like, oh, amazing. So exciting. My dear Angie, I have no idea how long we've been talking for, but I feel like it has been forever, but also not enough time either. I want to please, if you could let people know what you have upcoming and where they can find you. We'll, of course, put all of the links and everything into the show notes. I just feel like such a fancy person. I'm a podcast person that says things like that. But if you could let people know where they can find you and what you have upcoming, that's very important.
I have well, I've got my courses will be starting back up in February because I'm giving everybody like a break, that the holidays it's hard, and people don't usually spend money on themselves at the holiday time. So, but it is very important to take these courses that I offer, that you offer, because it's going to help everybody grow and evolve and get to where they want to be. So my courses start back up in February 2025. I'm in the process of getting both courses on my website right now. So, and I'll have like all the dates. My courses are small. I only allow like 6 to 7 people in each class because they're very interactive. You're not just going to be sitting there with your microphone off. Like you're going to be talking, you're going to be interacting, you're going to be able to ask questions. Like I want the courses to be like where you feel like you're getting your money's worth. So, it's $200 for my spiritual development course. And then it's a 4-week course that meets one day a week for 2.5, 3 hours, for the class. And then the tarot card course is going to launch in February 2025. That's going to be a 6-week course because I'm going to actually take 2 to 3 weeks to go through each card in the deck and like help you understand what the cards, what they mean, the symbolism, the colors, like all of it. And then, like learning how to do spreads, how to pick your cards, how to take care of them. And by the end of the course, you'll be doing readings on people in the group. And that class as well is I'm only going to keep it to about 6 or 7. But if they're popular or when they're popular, I will add a second course of each one. So I can be running like 4 courses a month. So that's the goal. And then my website, theoracleblonde.com.
I love that. I absolutely love that name. The best.
So I've got all my stuff on there. If you want to book a reading, if you're interested in the soul healing coaching, I do energy work, clearing your chakras, balancing your chakras. So and my courses are going to be on there as well. Other things coming up. We're wrapping up season 3 of our Getting on My Nerves podcast. We've had some really great guests this season. So that's on YouTube. We're also on Spotify, I think. And then I'm starting the new podcast with my friend Carrie Sicily. She's author of Parasites Inside Me. And she's done a lot of great stuff too, like she's been on Dr. Brian Ardis's show, and she works with a lot of influential people that are really into like the natural way of healing and understanding about parasites are the root cause of all disease. And her and I, we're all about truth. So be talking the truth on that podcast. So that one, we're going to start recording that one soon. And I think she's planning on putting it on a website and having people like subscribe to the website, because that way we won't get banned anywhere. It'll be on the website. And so we're still working all that stuff out. I think that's it. That's what I've got going on right now.
That's amazing.
Your course. So
yes, it's such an honor to have you in the course at the moment. I'm absolutely loving teaching this course so far. Okay, so that was theoracleblonde.com, where people can find you. And then, of course, if they want to connect with you, book with you, all of that information is on the website. And then I'm assuming you may have links on that website to your social media pages. And
it's just it's Angie Sudduth Walsh on Instagram or Facebook. I don't know. I don't post as much I'm sharing a lot of stuff lately on Facebook. Instagram, I post more spiritual stuff. And I am going to start doing lives again, where I'm going to be doing reading lives. And I want to do spiritual chat with Angie, where I've invited you to come on so we can do readings and just talk about stuff spiritually. But I'm going to do those as a live and not on a podcast channel.
Yeah.
I like doing lives better. I like getting on there and the pressure of doing it all right then. And then there it is. It's all done and there's no need to edit and all that stuff. So
totally. And the interaction as well with people is so much fun. Oh, I very much look forward to doing that. That's awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Everybody, please go check out Angie at her website, her socials. We'll put all the links below. She's a beautiful, incredible soul, as you have experienced in this episode. And just thank you. Thank you for joining.